Hey, I want to tell you about Moto Brand. Moto Brand was founded during the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic when the sport that we live for was taken from so many of us, whether it's cycling or moto. Waking up on a Saturday morning knowing that your local track was closed, there would be no Supercross, and for many of us that we couldn't even hit our favorite local riding spot or trail with our crew. We are forced to be reminded of how much the sport of moto and cycling truly means to us. Moto Brand represents a collection of individuals that not only ride, but live to ride. It's what we think of at all times of the day, and sometimes at a detriment to your relationship with your significant other. It's for those that look at their motorcycle or their bicycle as part of their identity. Maybe it's the way that you bond with your son or your daughter or your spouse. Perhaps it's your way to blow off stress of your day job, or even, hey, it is what it is, maybe even it's your marriage. This sport is more than just a sport. For many of us, it's a way of life. It's what keeps us ticking. It's what keeps us living. Moto Brand was created for a purpose, to be more than just a shirt that you can throw on in the morning, but these designs represent who you are and what you stand for. So I encourage you to head over to the motobrand.com, check out our collection. We have a pedal collection and we have a throttle collection, and there are more designs to come that stand for something. So head over to the motobrand.com and we'll see you there. Hey, I want to tell you about our friends at Flex Racing. Flex Racing is a one-stop shop for all custom designs and products that you need to look good at the racetrack. Flex creates some of the most stunning and custom race day materials available today, designing and manufacturing products that help you represent your team and your sponsors. Products like custom pop-up tents, table covers, chairs, umbrellas, bike graphics, bike mats, even gear bags. And I'm telling you, the gear bags, they're sick. We're going to get some made for Impakt and our EMTB team. They're awesome. If you need your name or your logo on it, chances are these guys can take care of it for you. Flex also provides rider and team logos, truck and trailer wrap designs, custom t-shirts, and even jackets. Not only are the designs killer, but my favorite thing, the prices. Right? They care about giving you the best possible price because Flex is entirely made up of riders and racers. They understand how expensive it is to look good and to be professional, so they've tailored the prices on all the products to be as affordable as possible to help privateers, big teams, small teams, everybody in between save the money that you guys need for things like travel, race fees, food, etc. They simply get it, right? Flex Racing's motto is secure the vision. They know that greatness exists in all of us, and they're here to help us bridge the gap between our vision and our reality. So maybe it's time to replace your pop-up from last season, or you need some fresh new gear, or maybe even need to replace those graphics on your bike to display your team logo. Give my friends at Flex Racing a shot. You can check them out at flexracing.com. Let them know that Impakt sent you. Let them know that you listen to the Moto Marketing Podcast, and you can save 15%.
Welcome to the Moto Marketing Podcast, presented by RacerX, the podcast for moto industry professionals, entrepreneurs, and riders. If you want to grow your brand and business in today's digital-first world, you have to know how to turn a stranger into a fan, turn a like into a customer. You have to know how to turn attention into dollars. This podcast is dedicated to keeping you in the know on real marketing tactics that work in the moto world so that you grow your business and help grow the sport. Get ready to learn from the very same marketing experts trusted by RacerX, Lucas Oil Pro Motocross, GNCC, and NBC Sports. They'll help you navigate the world of digital marketing for your moto brand. This is the Moto Marketing Podcast. Presented by RacerX.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Moto Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Luke Nesler. We bring you a new guest every single week telling you the story about how they've built their brand, or in multiple cases, their brands, how they got to where they are today, and just kind of their story behind brands that we all know and love. Today, I have a guest that I've wanted to get on for a very long time. We've had conversations, a mini with Tim Cotter and Davey Coombs about travels on the road and just all these different stories that this gentleman and those guys have built over the years. We all have a reason why we know the name Jeff Cernic. Mine is from the Travis Pastrana era and just seeing the Cernic's Suzuki logos on everything. And I've always been intrigued by the story behind Jeff and his businesses, and now he is the man behind MX Tire. So we're going to learn about that today. Jeff, welcome to the show. I appreciate you joining us and being part of this.
Well, thanks for having me, Luke.
Man, I always like to take a step back and kind of learn about the backstory and there's so much that goes on with your story. I guess let's kind of at least go back to the Cernic's days and how you took that to the size that it was and kind of the relationship with Travis and how that maybe helped grow that brand. Let's start there if you would.
Well, I mean, it really starts with my father. He was in the Army in the 50s, came home, opened up a garage, and turned into a gas station, body shop for cars and trucks. And then in the 60s, in '68, he wanted a motorcycle. He wanted to get his sons a motorcycle, and we went to the Honda shop and got a Honda Mini Trail, and it all started with a Honda Mini Trail, and found out the love of motorcycling, etc. And then we had an opportunity in '69 to get a Suzuki franchise, and we went from a garage in the 50s to a motorcycle shop in the late '60s, and the '70s went on, and I was just a little guy, and I was dusting bikes and sweeping floors, and as we grew, and then in 1977 the Johnstown flood came, which wiped out our entire store. Everything, motorcycles went down the river, the building was destroyed, and we started over again. '81 I graduated school and immediately went full-time at the shop, and I was still racing, and just amateur. No, I never made it into pros or anything like that. And 89 I quit racing, but in 1977, back it up a little bit, I started changing tires and selling parts at Motordrome Speedway. It was a event that Coombs has put on inside of an oval track, an arena cross, and that's when I started changing tires and selling parts, and just continued to race and sell the parts, etc. When I quit racing, we still started growing the racing part of the business, and that's where we were at. Just continued to do the trackside vending, and then I'm not sure what year it was that we met with Travis, but it wasn't a meeting of just seeing him race. It was a phone call from Pat Alexander saying, "Hey, I got this boy from Maryland that needs a part, and you're the only one in the nation that has it." And I said, "No problem, let's get him taken care of." And Debbie had called me, Pastrana, and we got him the part, and she said, "Hey, can you help our son?" And I said, "By all means." No one, we really didn't know who Travis was back then.
Did anybody at that point, was this before he really was well known?
This was his first year on the Suzuki support team.
Okay.
Wasn't factory, just support. And he was 7 years old.
Wow.
So on an RM80. And so then we became friends, and they got all their parts and their bikes and that from me. And then all of a sudden Travis started becoming Travis, who he was. And he's never left me, and I've never left him. And I have been friends with the family forever. And Robert I talk to Robert probably once every week or once every 2 weeks. And when Travis needs something, he knows it's a phone call away.
I've noticed that over the years, even before you and I had met, just how how considerate he is to the Cernic's brand, from his freestyle days to his racing days, and now your involvement in the hat that you wear with putting on the PA State Motocross Championship Series and the Pastrana Challenge, and he still gets involved, and I'm sure. You could just tell without even asking that it's a special relationship. Is that, from a fan standpoint, way before I had ever had the opportunity to meet you, I knew who you were, I knew the dealership, and I knew it because of Travis. Back then, did he play a massive role in putting your dealership on the map? Did you have people coming to seek your dealership out because of that name? Like how did that kind of unfold back when your main priority was Cernic's?
I believe that Travis definitely helped us. I also believe that hard work and good service to the customer was also a big part. And also having a great family and a great team of employees. I'm a firm believer that you're only as good as the people you surround yourself by. And I believe that with our dealerships, we had great employees that cared about customer service. And we made sure we had parts. And even if we didn't have parts, if we had a bike on the floor and we needed a part and it was on back order, we just yanked it off.
Yeah. Put
the bike in the corner till the parts come in, and then just so we prided ourselves, and our goal was not to have anyone miss a race because of us. Mm-hmm. If you didn't want to go to a race, that was your right, but we didn't want you to miss a race because we didn't have the part.
Yeah.
And that was our goal, and I think that we did a pretty good job at that.
Yeah, it's. You don't have a business as long as you have and not put customers first. It's easy to get somebody's attention and get them in the door the first time, but to get them to come back repeatedly, it's a different ballgame. So I find it interesting what you're doing today with MX Tire, and that's heavily an online business. Yes. And I know you do some in-person stuff and some race day support, I believe. So how did that transition from the traditional dealership to where you're at today with an online business? And I know there's so many things in between and it's impossible to cover. We could do a 3-hour saga segment with you. How did you make that transition? And I guess let's back up and let me ask it this way. What specifically did you just kind of move on past the motorcycle dealership and then get that itch again and get back in with MX Tire? Or how did that kind of go?
What really happened was at one time we had 3 dealerships. Wow. And then we slowly shrunk it down to just one main dealership, our original one in Johnstown. Mm-hmm. And my brother, who is my partner to this day, wanted to retire from the bike shop. It just was, when you're getting 20 and 30 employees, it wears a toll on you. And he was just ready to retire. I could have took the business over. But if I would have done that, I would have had to have given up my weekend racing, vending, etc., doing my tire service, etc. And I just, I love going to the races. I have a great passion for motocross racing. I have a great passion of taking care of the kids and the racers and so forth. And so we decided to sell it. And a few years ago, we sold it. And that's when I came up with, just doing the MX Tire. And a good friend of mine called me one day and said, "Hey, mxtire.com is available. You need to grab it." And I was like, I need to grab it. And it was within minutes that I owned the mxtire.com. And then that's what we named our company after that. And so it wasn't me that came up with that name.
Yeah.
It was a good friend of mine. And so we did that. And so we went from a dealership to just trackside vending. and doing the Dunlop amateur support and to MX Tire, and that's where we're at today. And we're very busy, and with this Corona pandemic, the online business has been absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. When we get back, we're going to do a little bit of business and go do a quick commercial break. When we get back, I want to dive into to MX Tire, talk to you a little bit about what you'd alluded to as far as the doing business in the pandemic and kind of plans for after the pandemic. And then I want to wrap things up with Jeff's race series and all the cool things he's doing with that. So we'll be right back and talk to Jeff Cernic. Hey, big shout out to our friends at FMF. Little D and the guys are always doing some pretty exciting things, not just with the performance products, but man, they've got the coolest apparel in the game, and I want to give you guys an opportunity to get that at a little bit of a discount. If you go to FMF and pick up any gear you'd like, hats, shirts, whatever it is, upon checkout, if you enter the code MMP30, MMP30, you can get 30% off. So MMP30 at checkout and get 30% off your order on FMF apparel. All right, guys, welcome back to the Moto Marketing Podcast. We have Jeff Cernic on with us of MX Tire, Cernic's, PA, Motocross State Championship Series, however you know him as. We've got him here just giving us just a brief peek under the hood to his career. We were just talking during the commercial break how there's so much that Jeff has done and been involved with that I'm even still learning about, that you just scratch the surface, and we're going to try to get him in studio to take a deeper dive in it. But Jeff, you'd alluded to, MX Tire and it being a trackside race day support type business, and now you've taken it online and mxtire.com, and just like so many other power sports brands, business is really well right now in a very strange 2020 year. Talk to me about that. What does that look like for you? Call it 2018, 2019, and then we get into 2020. We have no idea what's going to happen, and then boom, this blows up. Sheer panic. Everybody thinks the world's going to come to an end for their business, and the exact opposite happens for the dirt bike space, the bicycle space. What have you seen from that this year?
Well, it's funny, but I at Daytona this year, when the pandemic was just starting, and everyone was starting to get concerned and worried, but they weren't panicking yet or anything like that. I spoke with Craig Shoemaker with Western Power Sports down at Daytona, and we were just talking. And he said to me, he said, "Look, we're going to have our best year ever with this. People are going to want to do things." And don't be afraid. We're gonna keep, Western is gonna keep stocking up and buying. And he said, "Don't be afraid. This is going to be a good thing for the power sports industry." And I'm like, I was like, God, I don't know what to do. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, and I thought about it, and I've always thought about, when dips in the economy happened, the strong survived because they weren't afraid to take a chance.
Right.
And you know what? I didn't slow down. I kept ordering. I kept buying, and it was scary. My wife told me I was nuts, and my brother said, "Be careful." And I just kept going wide open. And at one point, we were almost at 800% increase over the last year.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic. I mean, we were busy. We're still busy. And it's where everyone else was going backwards, saying, "We don't know what to do." I went to work every day. I went to work and made sure that my eBay and my Amazon and my website accounts were going and so forth. And it was scary, but you know what? That's how you make big leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
And we're going to go into 2021 the same way.
Right.
Just keep on going and servicing our customers and building our brand. We have we're starting to franchise MX Tire a little bit, We have MX Tire West in Arkansas, and we're just opening up MX Tire Michigan. And so we're slowly growing, and we need those leaps and bounds to service our customers. And so it's a good thing. Like I said, it was scary as hell, but you only can keep trying, and that's my thing.
We it's interesting. Right before the pandemic hit, we began working with Little D and the guys over at FMF, and I was in California when Donnie and I kind of came to an agreement over the phone. I was on vacation with my wife, 25 minutes from their office. And this had just started. I was literally in a restaurant when the first COVID-19 case in California kind of popped up, and there was a big news to do about it. And my wife and I were kind of like, that's weird, but we had no idea what we were going to get into. And we had just inked that deal with the guys at FMF, and then the pandemic hit, and I was scared for all of our clients, but I was so bummed because as a lifelong fan of this sport, we just signed a deal with FMF. We've just started to build a relationship with Little D, and are they going to back out? Are we going to lose it? And I remember Donnie saying something to myself and my team that I was like, man, that's exactly how my mindset is as well, and it's exactly what you're talking about. He's like, hey, we've got a unique opportunity here to play offense when so many people are playing defense. I want to double down on it. And for them, I mean, it's been a massive success. And same thing with you, to where it's the easiest thing in the world to get scared when you're like, I have no idea what's going to happen. But the fact that you push through it, and now, like you said, at times you're up 800 and some %, I think is a testament to that type of a winning mindset, and always trying to be pushing forward rather than holding on to what you have and hoping things are going to be okay. I think everybody's going to see a drop off a little bit when things equalize and it start to normalize, but the people that really pushed, like you, to raise that level while the pandemic was going on, your level of normal is going to be higher than what it was before. I also think it's interesting and want to get your thoughts on this. Can you imagine still being in the door swing business with the brick and mortar, the Cernic, Suzuki, in this hit? Because we do work with motorcycle dealerships around the country as well, and I know how scared, how big of a hit those folks had. If you didn't have an online business and you had to rely on your traditional business model from years ago, what do you think that would look like today? How do you think you'd be feeling about that?
Well, once again, it's back up to January, February. The dealers that stocked up, and kept on moving, they're doing great.
Yeah.
The ones that got scared and said, you know what, we're backing off. By the time June came and July, they've been out of product. They're now they're scratching, now they're crying because they have no product. Where the guys that were like myself and said, you know what, we're going to forward on this, and we're going to, we just can't close our doors and say, I can't do this. They're striving and doing well.
Yeah. It's interesting. I have always said this, and I believe it to this day. I think business is very much like sport. Football, baseball, motocross, the people that have that mindset, the same mindset that people like Carmichael have, to where it's they are going to win at all costs. They come into it like a warrior, and the people that don't, you see the difference between those, and I think you really see that in business, and it's very much a mindset game, and you're a prime example of that.
I have been aggressive all my life.
Yep.
And I'm not here to break even. I want to succeed, and it's fun. Like I said, it's scary, but you know what? There's nothing like the kill of a sell. But if you don't have anything to sell, you can't kill it. And that's why I'm an aggressive person. I believe that if I don't have it, I'm not going to sell it.
Right.
And so I do my best to have good inventory supply, not overstock, but I do sometimes overstock, but but you got to have it to sell it. And
Yeah.
that's the most important thing. Because if
Absolutely.
the customer can't touch it, if they can't see it, they're not going to buy it.
Yep, 100%. Hey, as we kind of wrap things up, I want to talk about your involvement with the motorcycle series that you run in Pennsylvania. The one that always catches my attention. I mean, I'm friends with you on Facebook, so I see you prepping the track a lot. But the thing that always catches my attention, not just from your posting, but friends of mine in the industry that come to the event, is the Travis Pastrana Challenge. And funny enough, we're recording this just a few days after you had yours for this year. So talk to me about that, the state series and PAMX and your involvement with that, and how that's grown over the years as well.
Yep, PMX is a great association, and it's a Western Pennsylvania Motocross Association that has tracks like High Point and Dublin Gap and Roaring Knob and Maple Shade Raceway and Pleasure Valley Raceway, and it's five, six great tracks in Western Pennsylvania, and we have the Thor Championship in the spring, and then the Fly Racing Pennsylvania State Championship in the fall. And one of the rounds is the Travis Pastrana Pro Challenge that has a $20,000 pro purse. And it starts on Thursday move-in day and Friday practice, Saturday and Sunday racing. And the first year, which was 3 years ago, we had about 600 entries. And we had all 4 seasons in one weekend. I mean, Thursday came, Friday, it was absolutely beautiful fall weekend. And then Saturday, the bottom just started dropping slowly, getting colder. And Saturday night and Sunday, it was raining, snowing, sleet, hail. We had everything. And you know what the funniest part about it was? Travis was there, Doug Henry was there, Damon Bradshaw was there, and I believe Mike Brown was even there that year. And we all had a blast. Yeah. And people still talk about that first year. And then last year was our second year. It moved up to 750 entries. And once again, we had a great time. And then this year, it was just unbelievable. We had, I believe, with the pit bike race, we were at 970 some entries. And then we had, on top of that, we had a Friday practice that was well over 300 practicing. And it was unreal. And we had a hot dog eating contest one night. We had an auction raising a lot of money for our good friend Levi Wosick, who got injured at the Loretta Lynn Regional. And so we raised over $20,000 for him in 1 hour.
Wow.
And it was a lot of really gracious people. And Lori from Road to Recovery helped us out with it. And it was fantastic. We had bands south of the border. Ryan, who's a great, great man, supplied a fireworks display for us that was unbelievable. And I have been getting phone calls and texts telling me how great everything was and how much fun they had and couldn't wait for next year.
That's awesome.
And so the Travis Pastrana Pro Challenge is an unbelievable event, truly one of the biggest amateur events on the East Coast, and we're excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's something that my goal was to come up to it this year, and just the way it worked out, we had a GNCC event that we were competing in, but that is we're so close to one another. That is one of my goals, to get to that event and see it myself. And that, kind of going back to Travis, I think it's cool how dedicated he is to events like that with you. I don't remember the exact details of it, but it was last year, a couple years ago. He was somewhere way far away from PA doing something massive the day before, and then or a couple days before, and he left early or something because he had to get back to do your event, and that was.
Well, and this year he was Friday night. He's racing trucks in Vegas.
Yeah, maybe it was something similar to that.
Jumped on the red eye.
That's insane.
Flew to Pittsburgh and drove right to Pleasure Valley.
That's awesome.
Jumped on his freestyle bike because we have his freestyle ramp set up, and went doing backflips after being on the red eye. Now I'm telling you, I know what it feels like to ride the red eye because I love the red eye because I can always go right to work afterwards, and it's no fun. And he just went and jumped on his bike and was doing backflips and doing all kinds of freestyle and signed. And if you go to the Travis Pastrana Pro Challenge and you want Travis's autograph or you just want to shake his hand or say hello and you don't get it, it's not Travis's fault.
Mm-hmm.
It's your fault because he walks through the pits just like a normal person, talks to every kid, gets a picture, whatever. And believe it or not, this year, just to bring up one more thing, we had the Travis Pastrana candy bar. Okay?
Okay.
And what we did was every youth class, top 10 got a trophy. And when you got your trophy, you got a candy bar. And 10 golden tickets were in those candy bars. And we're going to go to Travis's in November for a day of fun. Mm. I'm going to be there with my crew. We're going to cook them lunch and breakfast. And then Travis is going to go, and who knows what they're going to do. You never know what happens at Travis's house.
That's right.
So I'm sure it'll be a part of the next Nitro Circus video. That these 10 lucky winners will have a fantastic time.
Yeah. Maybe somebody will learn how to backflip at Travis's house on the day of fun. That's awesome.
It'll be a priceless thing.
Well, man, sure. I think it's really cool what you're doing now, all the things you've done, and I'm glad that we've gotten to know each other a little bit over the years. I'm looking forward to getting to know you more. I mean, the Coombs family, just every time your name even comes up, whether it's Tim Cotter or Davey or Carrie or Rita, everybody just speaks so highly of you. You're a good person. You've done some really cool things. And I think it speaks for itself with, your customer base and just, the relationship you've built with Travis. Those types of things don't happen if you're not a good individual that it means well. So I think that's cool because the sport obviously needs those types of people. I am looking forward to hopefully doing a session with you and Davey Coombs here in studio to where you guys talk about some of the travels and stories from Tales on the Road, because I hear you've got a lot of epic ones. So hopefully we get a chance to do that for our listeners and viewers here soon. And I appreciate you being on the show. For those that are maybe haven't had a chance to check out MX Tire, it's mxtire.com, or what's the best way for them to check it out?
mxtire.com.
Okay.
And we're in process of building a whole new updated website because we're going to start getting into the used parts business. And so we're building an all new website that will have microfiche and everything to tell you if we have the used part or not. But backing up one thing before we get off, you speak about the Coombs family. And Big Dave was a very dear friend of mine. And I've always said, when I started Pleasure Valley, I went to Dave Coombs, and he could have, crushed me out and said, no, you don't want to do this and you're not going to do it. But you know what? He opened his hands up and helped me. Came up with his water truck, came up and helped me run my event, get me started. And the Coombs family has been not only friends, but they've been a part of my family. And I feel all the time that I'm a part of their family. And they're great people. And I'm honored to tell people that they are my friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jeff, it's been a pleasure. We only scratched the surface with all that is to your journey so far in this sport. But man, I appreciate you being with us today. And again, for anybody that's in the market for a fresh set of tires, check it out on mxtire.com. And I appreciate you guys listening. And Jeff, I appreciate you being with us today.
Well, I appreciate you having me. And like I said, I'm very grateful to be a part of this great industry. And I wouldn't know what else to do. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Moto Marketing Podcast. If your goal is to get real, measurable results from your marketing that will grow your company revenue, then check out how Impakt Media can get the same results that they have for Moto's most iconic brands by visiting thinkimpakt.com. That's THINKIMPAKT.com. Have a marketing question that you want answered on the show? Send your questions to questions@motomarketingpodcast.com. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. And we'll catch you on the next episode of the Moto Marketing Podcast.